One love to the humble. One love to the humble. One love to the humble. Hey, look, I appreciate you being here. I really, really do. Now, I would appreciate if you would subscribe. I appreciate if you would share. I definitely appreciate if you would like. Now, I don't usually say that on any of my videos, but that's probably something I probably should say. But look, if you don't do it, you don't do it. I understand why you wouldn't do it. If you don't like, if you don't subscribe, if you don't share, I understand it. This is not the normal thing that I'm talking about. The things I talk about make people very uncomfortable. I totally understand that. So if you don't do it, I get it. But I'm gonna start giving shout outs to subscribers, especially the subscribers that's active. If you active in the comments, I gotta start shouting you out. Now, this is my first shout out that I ever done on any video to any subscriber, but I'm gonna start doing that. And I'm gonna shout out Trade Day. Trade Day. I hope I said that right. I didn't go back and look, but I believe it's Trade Day. Hey, look, I'm shouting out Trade Day right now. And look, the video request, I'm gonna do that video request that you asked. I got you. I'm gonna do it. I ain't got around to it yet. I gotta do some more things on my end, but I'm gonna get that video request for you, Trade Day. So shout out Trade Day, man. Active in the comments and keeping this thing live. I appreciate you, man. And I'm gonna shout out more of y'all because it's a lot more of y'all really, really keeping it live in the comments, and you should be shouted out because you're doing a good thing. You're doing the unpopular thing. You're doing the unpopular thing in the comments because most people ain't gonna agree with what's going on. But you take it out your time and your day and you make it possible. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate you, man. Trade Day. Shout out Trade Day. Trade Day. Stay active in the comments, man. And I'm gonna shout out more of y'all as time go on. So let me get into this video. Look, the question is systemic racism real? Is it real? Well, let's go through it, and then we can decide at the end what we think. Now, there are some things that we always talk about when it comes to systemic racism. We talk about redlining. We talk about home buying. We talk about schools. We talk about this is my train of thought because I'm trying to do this off the top of my head. I should have made some notes, but I don't like doing notes. I like coming out the dome with my knowledge that I know. But we talk about redlining. We talk about finances, home ownership. We talk about schooling and bank loans, things like that. That's what they use when they talk about systemic racism usually. So I'm going to cover those things. Now, if I miss one, I gave you like 4. But if I miss one, it's because I didn't write this down. I'm just going off the top of my head with it. Now, I know this stuff, you know what I'm saying? So I'm going to speak from what I know, not from what I'm reading. But if I miss one, don't hold me to it, you know what I'm saying? Just understand what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to talk to you straight up. And when I'm talking to you straight up, I may miss something, I may skip something, I may forget something. But that's just being a human. So just, bear with me. But let's go through it. We're going to find out, is it really a real thing? So let's start off with redlining. Let's start with redlining. So there was a point in time in history where redlining was a big deal, right? Where they didn't want to, they had maps where they blocked off certain stuff away from black people. It was called redlining, meaning if you was in this district or you was in this area, you wasn't going to be allowed to do certain things like home buying in the area. And then that transitions right into home purchasing loans, right? Now let's talk about it for real. Let's talk about it for what it really is, not what we feel. Let's talk about it for what it really, really is. How many of you right now know of an all-black neighborhood that's prosperous, that really cares about the neighborhood 100%? How many of you know? Put it in the comments right now. Comment in the comment section right now if you know a black neighborhood, 100% black, that's up to par, that's great, that anybody would be willing to move in, and anybody be willing to say, yo, this is my home. This is where I live. If you got it, name it. If you live in it, name it. I'm talking about 100% black, not mixed. I'm talking about 100% black. It's only black people there. Name one. And I'll do the research and I'll come back and say, I stand corrected. But right now, I know for a fact that that's not what it is. So when you are black and you trying to buy a home in a certain neighborhood and you move into a white neighborhood, they don't want you in that neighborhood because redlining kept certain things from happening, correct? Okay, so since that's what happened, they didn't want you to move into their neighborhoods because they know that we don't value the stuff like they do. Our culture is not the same. So we're not culturally doing the things that they do in their neighborhoods. We don't go out in the middle of our neighborhood and pick up trash. We don't keep out the drug dealers. We don't keep out the nonsense. We don't keep out the violence. In our neighborhoods, we always have had violence, and they stand the test of time. We've always had that. There's always somebody out there trying to stop it, but it's not enough of us. So our communities will always run down for the most part. And there were some great communities, but for the most part, that's not what we did. We didn't value that. We don't go out and say, hey, y'all got to clean this up. Hey, y'all can't just hang out like this. We don't do that. So since we don't do it, redlining was in effect. You couldn't move in certain neighborhoods because culturally we didn't respect it. And there are some of us who did, but most of us did not. That's why that was there. And we say, oh, it's racist, they just don't want us here. No, it wasn't that they just didn't want you there, but they knew you wasn't going to value and take care of the neighborhood like you're supposed to. We wasn't taking care of our own neighborhoods. How in the world we're gonna move over there and take care of that neighborhood? It wasn't going to happen. Now let's get into the home purchasing. Because see, this stuff is not as complicated as they try to make it seem. Like, people come up with these words and these terms like systemic racism. But every time they say it, nobody can ever pinpoint like how to stop it. There ain't no pinpoint to it. Like, they can't pinpoint, oh yeah, just go right here, that's how you end it. See, when they talk about it, there's no way they can end it. How are you supposed to end systemic racism? You can't, because it's made up. Anything that's made up, there is no beginning and there's no end to it, because it's a made up word to create a mindset, to get in your lexicon and switch up how you think. As long as the person can control how you think, they control you. And if you thinking that, this is a thing, and then somebody said, well, show me how it began and then show me where it stops. They can't do it. Show me how to fix it. They can't do it because they can't pinpoint anything about it, because there's nothing about it to pinpoint, because it's made up. It's just an idea. And whenever there's something that's an idea, then you already know that you're in for you can't fix it. Just like racism is an idea. It's not a real thing, because if it was, you could stop it. Anything that's really, really real and tangible, it can be stopped. But ideas cannot be stopped. Thoughts cannot be changed. Because, thoughts can be changed, but it's not a physical action that you can do to a thought. It's not a physical action. So since there's no physical action you can do, there's no stopping. But if I create a term to match it, and then I say, we need to stop racism, You can't stop racism. If, according to the terms that they use it under, and according to what the definition is, you can't stop it. You understand what I'm saying? I hope you getting what I'm putting down. I hope you picking up what I'm putting down. You can't stop an idea. And racism is just an idea. I'll get to that later. But let me get back to this. So let's talk about home ownership. They say, oh, well, they wasn't allowing black people to buy homes. That's not true. If you had good credit and you had the money, you was going to get the loan for your home. Everybody who had the money and had the credit got it. Those who did not have the money and had the credit, they didn't get it. And the same thing applies today. If you don't have the credit or the money, you ain't getting no home loan. It just don't work like they just give it to you. But I can say, oh, they just racist towards me. They give all these white people loans, but not me. Well, they're not going to give it to you if your credit ain't right. If you don't make the money to afford it. That's never been the way. But see, banks are about making money. Banks don't care about skin color. Banks care about money, the bag. That's what banks care about. And if you don't, if you're not making the money and you don't have the credit score, they're not going to risk giving you the money. You just can't walk in there and say, I want it. See, that's what entitlement is done to black people, because the black race hustlers have convinced black people that, oh, you should just get it. If you don't, that means it's racism. See, racism to black people is anytime they get denied of something. Anytime a black person is denied something, it is racism. It's not because they don't qualify. It's because these people are racist. They won't give me this because they're racist. Never thinking that you're not qualified. Anything that I've ever been qualified for, I've gotten. And so have any other black person at any time in history have always gotten everything that they qualify for. It's when you don't qualify, is when you don't get it. So the housing, they say, oh, they're not letting them buy houses in this area because they don't qualify. I mean, because they're black, so we're not going to give it to them. So you telling me a person that's living in a black neighborhood with all black people, they don't give them the loan because they're black? No, it's because they don't qualify. And then we don't, in our culture, you know it just like I know it, if you're black, we don't value stuff. We'll throw trash out in the streets. We'll throw trash in our neighborhood. You go into them certain neighborhoods, you can see couches on the corner, mattresses on the corner, trash up and down the street, people walking up and down the street, drug dealers on the street, drug dealers on the corner. That's what we do. We don't run them away. We embrace that because we scared. But then we say, oh, it's racism because we want them to come in and fix it. No, you're supposed to fix your own neighborhoods. Go to an all-white neighborhood. You'll see a man out there in a white neighborhood cutting the grass in areas that ain't even his. You'll see that man walking up and down the street, picking up trash that ain't even in his yard, but is in his community. It's in his neighborhood. So he's going to clean that up. He's not going to let it be. But see, in our neighborhoods, we'll drive right by it because it ain't, oh, I ain't put it there. We'll keep going. We don't care. We want the person who put it out there to come get it. We don't see the value in it. And you think they're going to let you come in there. They know our culture. They know it better than you know it, your own culture. Oh, when I forgot, schooling. They said, oh, this kid grew up in poverty. This kid has some wealth. He went to this school. He went to a different school. But the kid who was in poverty, you know, they didn't get much resources at their school because their school was in a certain district. And then the other kid, the white kid who went to this school over here, he lived in another district, but they got money. Why do you think that is? Let's see. Well, living in a black neighborhood, we don't make a lot of money. You know, we're not about the money, right? We don't qualify ourselves to get paid. So if you live in a neighborhood that's already run down, that nobody's taking care of, the property value is going to be low, right? So the taxes and all that going to be low. So they don't have no money to feed the schools. Where you go over here in this neighborhood where it's all white people, where the property value is high, they take care of the neighborhood, they keep the grass cut, they keep junk off the streets, they're not putting up with the nonsense. The school in that district seem to get a lot more money and resources, and teachers getting paid well. Well, that ain't racism. That's choice. That's a choice. Or it may not be a choice, but it may be something you just don't know. You may not know any better of how to better yourselves. But it ain't because you black. It's because these people over here made different choices than the people over here made. The white people made a choice to save and invest and get money. The black people made a choice. I ain't doing this. I'm not working for the white man. I'm not busting my tail for the white man. I'm not doing none of that. I don't really care about nothing. It's racist. All the excuses. So you can be over here on the white side and produce, or you can be on the black side and make excuses. That's the difference. And what is the other one I said? I said I got redlining, I got housing, I got schooling, jobs. It's oh well, they don't hire black people. But this group of people had white sounding names, so they got more jobs than black sounding names. That's what they said. They said the names was the reason, not the qualifications. You see how they do it? They said, oh, it's a black name. But if I'm black and I fill out an application that I'm not a job, if I fill out an application for a job that I'm not qualified for, you think I'm gonna get the job? I'm not gonna get the job. But see, it's easy to make that excuse and say, oh, it's because I'm black. Because see, when it comes to black people, anytime we get rejected or anytime we get stopped for anything, we just automatically say it's racism. You can't deny a black person, because a black person is entitled, and a black person should have every opportunity and everything, and they should have the best outcomes. You should make sure they have it all, because if you don't, you racist. Now, they should have to work for nothing. It should be that you should guarantee them a good outcome. Giving them opportunity is not good enough. They got to be guaranteed a good outcome. And that's not the way the world works. Everybody in the United States, because we are a capitalist society. And everybody's not a capitalist, cool. But what I'm saying is, and you are on your own. You make your own way in this country. It ain't easy for everybody. Nothing is fair. You got black people born into money. You got white people born into money. You got white people born into poverty. You got black people born into poverty. If you're born into poverty, it's going to be a little bit harder for you to get out of it. You're going to have to do something you don't want to do to escape. People who got money, it's going to be a little easier for them to continue making money. But if you don't have it, you got to work harder. But that's okay. Work harder then. Stop crying racism. Just because a person don't give you something and don't put you in a certain position, it don't mean they racist. It means that you just got to work for yours. Don't expect nobody to give you anything. Work for it. So the question is, do I think systemic racism is real? No, I don't. I think it's a made-up word that nobody can pinpoint and lock down to any particular place or time. It's just a word that was made up. It's a word that was made up. Just like most of these words are made up. All these isms are not real. It's just something to make white people feel guilty and black people feel entitled. Like no other races of people are out here. It's just black and white. All these other races come in here to this country illegally and run in circles around black people. They don't even speak the language, but they run in circles around black people. Asians don't even rank high on a huge population, but they are running circles around everybody, not just black people. They run in circles around white people too. Asians are the richest class. Well, not the richest. It's them. I think they're like at the top as far as education and finances. because they studied. They put an emphasis on. They put an emphasis on two-parent households. They put an emphasis on education. That's why they're at the top. They had a thing where I don't know what school it was. I think it was Harvard. I may be wrong. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. But Harvard was trying to stop so many Asians from getting in. But they was getting in off of their education. But they was like, oh, it's too many of y'all getting in here, so we want to stop it. But yet they let unqualified black people get in just based off of affirmative action. But we ain't putting no effort in nothing. We getting in schools that we not qualified for, and somebody helping us make it through. I don't appreciate it, man. I'm sick of all these terms, systemic racism. I'm sick of all of it. I'm sick of it, man. I'm tired of it, man. I ain't never been one to accept it. And people out here, like, it make us look so weak as black people. We look weak. And black people don't care about looking weak. Like, we looking weak. And everybody, like, in support of the weakness. What are we doing with our life? If we gonna keep this going, still today, we still keeping this bullcrap going. You got the opportunity to do whatever you want to do and make whatever life you want to make. Yet we want white people to give up everything they work for and give it to us when we ain't work for nothing. Ain't no black people alive today that know anything about slavery but want reparations. And you might be one of the ones that want reparations. I don't think it's good. I don't think we deserve reparations. We're the weakest of all black people that ever came before us. Them people that came before us was way stronger, way more equipped, just way more deserving. Black people today are lazy and entitled. We don't work for nothing. We want it given to us. There are some of us that work hard, but the majority of us, we ain't gonna put forth no effort. It's all about racist and systemic racism, things you can't put a finger on and pinpoint and lock down to one particular thing. We don't know how to fix that because that's a made up thing. You can't fix it. It's not something you can see and put your hands on and stop. That's the whole point of making it up. But, you know, hey, man, do what you do, man. I hope you ain't one of the ones that think like that. And if you are, I hope you change your mind tonight. Because this is nonsense. We got to take some accountability and some responsibility and change our lives for us. No one can do it. There is no one that's going to be able to do it. We can make all the speeches and go on all the riots and go on all the protests, but none of that is going to change the situation. The only thing that's going to change is black people have to become individuals, stop the group thing, and each individual has to move on their own. But if you keep moving as a group with this group mindset, we're going to keep going lower and lower and lower and lower until we just out of the picture altogether. You take it for what it's worth. But I'm telling you, you can't say you wasn't told. Y'all take care.